Still looking for a GPU? I may have some bad news for you. Let's do this. I wish these files would transfer faster. Come on! Whoa, is that the Firecuda 510 NVMe drive with its blistering fast speeds of 3450 megabytes a second read, 3200 megabytes a second write, and capacities of up to 2 terabyte? I can have these files transferred in no time. And if I'm looking for the ultimate performance, I could even get the 4th generation Firecuda 520. I better check the link in the description to find out more details. So it's been a while since I've made any videos on the whole GPU crisis, as it's been so kind of rightly named. But for those who may remember, I've made a couple of videos over the last year explaining the ins and the outs of the mess that getting a GPU has become, and giving a little sprinkle of industry insider information. The beauty of being in the position I'm in, I guess, so there is that. Now, I get to speak to retailers, distributors, the brands themselves, and so much more. The kind of things that I guess the average consumer just wouldn't have any insight into. And it all seemed, well, pretty dire. Well, today, more developments have come out, and while it looked like the end was potentially in sight, that couldn't be any further than the truth. So, a quick recap for anyone who hasn't seen those other videos, and, well, because there's quite a lot to go through, let's try and do it super fast. So GPUs are hard to get hold of. When you do, it's probably not the model you want, and it's probably more than you actually want to pay for it. Wow, that was fast. But the all-important question comes from my good buddy, Ryan.
Why?
Well, I'm glad that you actually asked, Ryan. While people on social media are quick to blame any one reason, it's actually a multitude of different factors at play, and that leads to a complete storm for the consumer. The easy one to blame, of course, is those dirty, rotten miners, taking all of our GPUs and using them to mine crypto, turning it into Bitcoin and avoiding taxes. Dirty, rotten miners. And while they definitely, I guess, factor into it, they aren't the only reason behind things. So what is it? Scalpers. Ugh. Filthy, opportunist scalpers. Swooping in and kind of buying those GPUs on the low and sticking them on eBay and flipping them for much more than what they actually paid for it. And while I hate what they're doing, anyone who actually bought from a scalper is technically just as much to blame. You helped keep them in business. It's really that simple. You helped facilitate them to make money. Now, I'm a firm believer in the fact that you can't blame something if you're actually a part of it. I mean, complaining that you paid £400 or $400 more for your graphics card that you bought on eBay really only puts one person to blame. Can you guess who it is? Come closer. 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 It's you. So these two things are both factors when it comes to trying to buy a GPU. But what about before it even gets there? Shipping costs. For anyone who doesn't know, between a brand or a manufacturer and the retailer, like Amazon, Scan, Newegg, Micro Center, is a distributor. They buy container loads of products, like this. They then get them shipped in from their country of origin, which for the most part is China or Taiwan, and they sort out everything from factory to warehouse, ready to kind of split the shipment and send it out to each individual retailer. The problem with that, and it's an ever-growing problem, the cost of shipping has gone absolutely through the roof. A 40-foot high cube shipping container, for instance, used to cost no more than £1,500 to £2,000, and about the same in dollars. We're now seeing costs of $25,000, or around £23,000. Basically, someone ate a bat or something happened in a lab, a massive pandemic hit, factories closed, stuff didn't get shipped or sold, and a backlog happened. Now it's basically become a bit of a bidding war, and with anything in life, whoever has the deepest pockets wins.
Money.
But what about even before that? Well, that's what brings me to today. There is still a raw material shortage going on, from cardboard to plastic to metals and of course silicon. I mean, to make a GPU, you simply grab a PCB, you bolt on some components and a GPU core, you slap on a cooler and away you go, right? How hard can it be? Well, of course there is more to it. It's a little bit more complicated than that. I mean, you also have to put thermal paste and pads on, duh. But in all seriousness, the GPU cores itself are made by a third party. For the most part, TSMC, who manufacture for AMD, Nvidia, and many other big brands out there, including Apple. Well, they're actually struggling to keep up with the demand. Again, it's through no fault of their own, but with all of these kind of factors at play, the chipset shortage has been looming over the market. So when will it get better? Well, in the short term, it's not going to get better anytime soon. And that was actually confirmed this week by NVIDIA's CEO and leather jacket fashion icon, Jensen Huang.
It'll take a while for us to be able to see a time when supply exceeds demand. I think that through next year, demand is going to far exceed supply.
Jensen featured on a call with Yahoo's Finance shortly after NVIDIA's GTC conference to talk about the Omniverse, AI, robots, and of course, supply and demand. Now, while NVIDIA's, let's say, gaming part of the business, where they sell graphics card, accounts for the majority of their revenue, at the heart of it is silicon, are chips. And well, these are featured in a variety of products, whether it be graphics cards, systems for self-driving in cars, supercomputers, and much more. And that's where Jensen said he thinks that through the next year, demand is going to far exceed supply. So basically, in layman's terms, you ain't seen nothing yet, folks. Now, as I said, this isn't just affecting the gaming market. Cars have been another huge market that have seen kind of the shift with demand going through the roof. And I'm not just talking about the new car market. Due to the fact that new cars can't be made at the same rate, again, due to the chip shortage, old used cars have skyrocketed in value. I mean, I can currently sell my car, which I bought in June of this year, for about £5,000 more than what I paid for it. I mean, that's great. I mean, I'd be carless, but I'd have £5,000 sitting in my pocket. Though if I wanted to order another one, I'd be lucky to see it, frankly, this side of February 2022. And it's the same thing happening with GPUs. Used GPUs will continue to soar, and it all comes down to those who are going to buy them. And all the time that people are buying them, it will continue to rise. Simple economics. And I think when you break it down like that, you can start to see that potentially there is a lot more to play than just miners and scalpers. Now, one opportune moment that has presented itself is when a new range of graphics cards actually launch. At that point, you can actually get a card for the price you'd expect it to be. Take this, the RX 6600 from AMD as an example. When that launched, we kept, well, an eagle-eyed view on it and saw cards like the Sapphire Pulse, Power Color Fighter, even this one, going for kind of recommended retail prices of around £299 and actually staying there in stock, at least in the UK, for a few hours. When compared to now, you'd be looking at about £430 or above for the same level of card. The only issue is you need to be quick. Work out from the outlets like ourselves by watching and reading our reviews as to if it's worth it, and then buy it before others do, because again, supply and demand. So why has this demand gone so high? Again, look at the pandemic. People were forced to work from home, and while an old Toughbook laptop was okay for a temporary solution, it was never going to work permanently. When you're stuck for kind of 8 hours a day in your spare bedroom that's been converted into an office staring at a beaten up 13-inch screen, it's just frankly not viable long term. So instead, we've seen desktops become more prevalent, and if you're needing a desktop for work, you may as well get something permanent for gaming too, right? I mean, kill two birds with one stone. It just simply makes sense. So the uptake. Globally, well, it's been huge, and with threats, especially across Europe, of potentially more lockdowns, we could see a rise at a, well, potentially even higher rate as we draw into winter. Yay. Lucky us. Now, it's not just NVIDIA's CEO turning around and saying that things are likely to continue until late 2022, but Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who steered Intel back on course with the recent release of the 12th gen Alder Lake range of processors, which we did cover last week, and spoiler alert, they're pretty damn good. But he also claimed that he doesn't expect supply problems to get any better until, wait for it, are you sitting down? 2023. Yep, you heard that right, 2023. Sucks, right? So what can you actually do? Well, you still have some choices as a consumer, and that really comes down to one of three things. So number one, you can be happy with what you've got. Now, I always ask people when they mention that they want to upgrade something, I ask them one question, and that is, what is your current PC not doing that you expect the new part to allow you to do? If you can't answer that, or your response is a bit kind of wishy-washy, then do you really need to upgrade? Probably not. Your second option is, well, a simple one. Hold out. Maybe you'll get lucky. as while the shortage is happening, cards are actually still being sold every so often and actually at the price they should be. So think like a scalper, act like a scalper, and be fast. Just don't sell the card after and become the scum of the universe. And then think about your old card. Why not make it your mission to find an actual gamer and give them a good deal on it? Yes, I get it. It's easy to, make a bit of cash, but sometimes doing the right thing can actually be much more rewarding in some kind of sense.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And your final option is to facilitate the scalpers and pay over the odds. But, and this is a very, very big but, if you do that, just like I mentioned earlier, you have no room to complain after. Get it, be happy, and move on. Those are your choices. So I guess really the question is, which one are you going to choose? It's a tough decision, I know, but at least you have options. Much like you do with the eTeknix PC Maintenance Toolkit, with everything you need to build, maintain and repair your PC, including an Allen key for tightening and water cooling fittings. It's the only toolkit you're ever going to need. Grab yours over on store.eteknix.com, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.